I have to admit, I love Korean Netflix. My name is Vander Puchert, and this is Finding Frequency. I don't know if you find that in this pandemic time, and I think in my case, as I try and get this wire out of my way here, I tend to get sucked into different things. And sometimes it's just like a little bit of a temporary thing. So I got sucked into the whole idea of longboarding. Trust me, that's not going anywhere. I love it. I want to do more of it. As soon as the weather clears up a little bit, I'll be out there. In fact, today I nearly got a gap because when we woke up this morning, beautiful sunshine for a change. But it's funny, you turn your head, you drink a cup of coffee, grey. But the thing is, I have to challenge myself to step out on the board and go for a ride. The only thing is I tend to veer away a little bit from riding when the road is wet. Not that I think I'm going to slip, but it kicks up all kinds of dirt, man. It's not conducive for a little bit of a clean freak like myself. So I've been avoiding wetness. But I will be there. I will be riding soon enough. I think next week we might have a little bit of sunshine. Might. Touching wood. Okay, Korean Netflix. And this is just something that, I don't know if you are like this, but I get interested in something. Something tweaks my interest. And arguably also there's things that are related to my business that I wouldn't necessarily tell people that I'm interested in, because they might think, is this guy crazy? For example, I'll give you a quick example. I've been referencing a lot of like really late night mass marketing kind of strategies to see how these guys operate. So I don't know if you've had this in your country or when you were younger, or maybe you were way too young, but you had these guys selling all kinds of vacuum cleaners, all kinds of stuff on TV, and then they go, but wait, there's more. You know, they try and set up the sale, they tell stories, you always see the before and after, and then they try and close the deal. But when they close the deal, there's a little bit of like a value chain to it. And then they do an upsell, and then they try and lock you in. And I kind of veered away from that. Like when I said to like when we were in advertising, you would kind of raise your eyebrow and say, like, that's not good advertising because you're not really tapping into human truth necessarily. It's not super creative. But the last year or so, I started getting interested in it in a bit of a less black hatty kind of way. Black hat refers to dark evil, but you know, like just looking at the strategies of how they do this. Like, what is the philosophy behind it? How do they set things up? And funny enough, I ran into a friend of mine a week or two ago who is kind of doing the same, and we're investigating this. So I'm trying to find a product or a service or something that I can experiment with within this context, and you know, see if this approach works, because apparently it does work for a few folks. I've done a little bit of research and I've seen it, but the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes it's interesting to investigate and get sucked down a rabbit hole if you can learn something new and bring it back into your paradigms and your reality, make it your own. And I kind of did that now the last 2-3 days, because arguably things are a little bit slower on the business end. I expected it. I planned for it. I've got one client that's still like a little bit ongoing, and I'm trying to do some extra work also to just stay ahead of the curve as we go into next year. But the nature of the work allows me to sit back and watch, like let something play on the back end. You know, so I've had some Netflix playing for the last 2 days, and for some reason I wasn't feeling like watching anything like highbrow. And I started watching 2 Netflix like series, and I think they're either Japanese or Korean. The one plays off in Tokyo, kind of Hunger Gamesy kind of vibe, so I think that is Japanese. The other one had a lot of Korean references in it, and I've been watching these, and it's like super fantasy vibe, monsters, crazy things that I don't think a lot of people would dig unless you're younger and you're kind of into that vibe. But I'm watching this eye candy, and some of it's good, some of it's bad. But the one thing I wanted to say about the storylines of those, of both those series that I watched, is completely unexpected. When I watch Western series, I can really kind of figure out what's going to happen next. So you're not entirely shocked when someone dies or something happens. And it was interesting for me watching these shows and seeing how eager the writers of these shows are to sometimes really mix things up, like completely shuffle everything and kind of feel like they like wiping the slate clean. Of course, you've got the standard characters that go through and they kind of tap into this whole idea of the hero's journey. But, there's a lot of characters that you get used to that you're like, I kind of like this character, he's interesting. And then one episode later, he's dead with a whole bunch of other people, just randomly. Sometimes a big scene, sometimes small, but it was interesting to see how, in their view, they could really mix things up quite drastically and then find a way to bring the show back and then continue in a way that you still feel you're watching the same series. Interesting. So I'm kind of tweaked to find out a little bit more. So I might get sucked into more and more of these kind of shows to see if this is a general thing or just specific to what I've watched thus far. But once again, I think that's what's cool about about experiences is that you can do things like that. But I think the one thing you need to be able to do is to kind of let go of your own prejudices and give it a chance. Give stuff a chance. Like, check it out. And by all means, don't try and force yourself to like things in the long term, but check it out and see what you can take out of it. What is interesting about it? What tweaks, or maybe something that you can apply somewhere else? Because I'm looking at this plot structure, I'm going, maybe I need to consider some of this. Perhaps not a big, gigantic, weird Asian-looking monster, but, the way that they shift and build the relationship with characters and how they can quickly reshuffle all their characters again. It's interesting. I hope my ramble makes any sense, but what I'm trying to say is really, sometimes it's good to shift the old perspectives a little bit and try something else, especially if you think that it might not be for you. Look at it and think what you could take out of it. Because just with me having these crazy shows playing in the background while I'm doing real work kind of just made me think. And maybe just the idea of making you think, well, let go of the prejudice and just look at stuff, I guess. Anyway, I wanted to share that and also comment, it's, tomorrow is Christmas Eve here in Poland. So we have a cleaning lady coming across to come take care of our house. It's going to probably kick us out for a little bit. And then 4:30, we are all getting together at Babcha's house, at the mother-in-law's house, for a big-ass dinner that she's been preparing for the last couple of days. And I think because it's this is a very Catholic country, and keeping the Catholic tradition, I don't think there's going to be any meat. So that's one of the unique things. It's just going to be fish and all kinds of other Polish dishes. And I think the next day you can eat meat again. I can't remember. But yeah, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 days of visiting and hanging out with Babcha for the next couple of days. And yeah, I'll see if I can sneak off a recording here or there, but I don't count on it because the African has always been watched with eagle eyes. Every move is watched. Watched, I tell you. But yeah, so Christmas is happening and I'm excited to give Francie his little toolbox that he's hopefully going to be happy with, because now at the moment I don't have a son called Francie anymore. He doesn't want to be called Francie. His name is Everest. It's one of the Paw Patrol pups. He insists that I call him Everest. He is now Everest. What next? Tell you what's next. It's Christmas next, and if you celebrate, enjoy. We'll talk one more time on Christmas, I think. But yeah, keep safe over there, and thank you for listening.